Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn Crawford, and I'm with the Hope Dementia Support Groups. And we have the honor of having Maria, pronounce your name for me. Lattanzi, so I don't mispronounce, who is a services case manager for the Agency on Aging and Disabilities. And she knows about everything that you'd ever want to know about resources in Clark County. So welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much for inviting me. So I was asked to come here tonight to just say hello to everybody and welcome you. And I do want to say before I start that Hope Dementia is one of my favorite things in the world, and I recommend it to all of my clients who are dealing with a loved one with dementias. So my job is to support unpaid caregivers. And so unpaid caregiver, most of us don't think of ourselves as caregiver. We think of ourselves as a wife or a husband or a daughter or a son or a friend. But the truth is that if you're caring for someone and you're caring for them at least 40 hours a week, most of us are 24/7. Most of you, not me, I should say. That means you're a caregiver. You're an unpaid caregiver at that. So my agency and my department, Community Services, we support unpaid caregivers by giving you some respite. There are things that you would have to do. First of all, you would have to go through a screening to see what program would fit you best. We have several programs that I will go over as soon as I'm done with this little introduction. So to support an unpaid caregiver, we can provide you depending on your assessment. We look at several things. We look at the burden level that you are telling us that you're under, your stress level, depression, the hours that you spend caring for your loved one, and what you do outside of caring for your loved one, if anything. So we look at all that, and the assessment is for the unpaid caregiver. Unlike many programs that assess the patient, we assess you because we want to know what your burdens and strengths and stress levels are. So after the assessment, the computer will get everything together and tell us what you qualify for. And there are a lot of programs and a lot of things that you could qualify for depending on your level. So we have several programs right now. One of them is two of them are non-Medicaid programs. And so everybody knows about Medicaid. Well, I shouldn't say everybody knows about Medicaid, but you've probably heard about Medicaid. Basically, to get Medicaid services, you need to be below the poverty line. And if you are not below the poverty line, you have to spend down your resources. And if you own a home or property, then you then Medicaid, the state, puts a lien on your property. The programs that I represent do not do that. We do not put liens or anything like that on your properties. So we help you without that. We don't make you spend down your resources. We understand that people need their resources to survive. And especially during retirement, we need every penny that we have in order to get through. So those are the things that we are very careful about. The non-Medicaid programs have no participation, which means regardless of your income, you do not have to pay anything toward the services that we provide. We have another program for people who are over the non-Medicaid limits. So I'll go over that a little bit later, where we have a sliding scale. So if your income is higher and you don't qualify for the non-Medicaid programs through the state, then the Family Caregiver Support Program can help you, and it just might cost you a little something. So to start with, I'm going to talk to you about the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center. So that's our clearinghouse, I guess you'd call it. It's kind of the 411 for senior information and assistance. And so that number, and I hope you all have pens ready and are taking notes, because I will go over it again toward the end. I'll give you these numbers again. But the number in Clark County is 360-694-8144. And in Cowlitz and Wahkiakum counties, it's 360-501-8399. And in Skamania County, 509-427-3990. And again, that's for Aging and Disabilities Resource Center. And what that, they are just a resource center. Any question you have, any program you're looking for, any help you need, you call them and they will be able to point you in the right direction. And if you're looking for one of my programs that I represent, what will happen is they will screen you for the correct program that you qualify for, and then they will send you to a case manager for assessment. And so that's how that works. So the first program I'm going to talk to you about is the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program. You may have heard of it. We refer to it, like everything, as TSOA. Everything is an acronym. So the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program has two different parts. If you are an unpaid caregiver, we will represent you as an unpaid caregiver and support you while you support your loved one. If you know somebody who doesn't have an unpaid caregiver, perhaps they're not married or they're widowed, then and they don't have a child nearby that can help them, then we also have a Tailored Supports for Older Adults program for individuals. So you do not have to have an unpaid caregiver in order to qualify for that program. And it gives them respite services if they qualify. And we could get them an emergency alert button, Meals on Wheels, things like that. And again, there's no cost to them. So the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program is through the state of Washington, and it's what they call a Medicaid demonstration project. And so it's in, it's in the demonstration works right now. And so it's been under demonstration and working quite well, helping people who don't qualify for Medicaid or who don't need full Medicaid services, just to help support them so they can stay in their homes. And it's working very, very well. Unfortunately, this whole COVID thing has kind of left everything up in the air. Finance-wise, everybody may have heard that the state is in deficit and is looking at cutting programs. So that remains up in the air, but we firmly believe that this program will become an actual program, will move out of demonstration and into the regular part of state services, because it's saving the state so much money. And so we're confident that that's going to happen. So Tailored Supports for Older Adults, I'm going to give you an idea. If the person who is the patient, so the person with Alzheimer's or chronic illness, their income, not the married income, so just the patient, their income needs to be $2,349 a month or less to qualify for this program. If they have in savings, they can have, if they have savings, they can have up to, if they're married, $111,000 in some sort of savings, annuity, something like that. So that can be a cash resource up to that much money. If they're a single, with the unmarried, they can have as much as $53,000 in resources, cash on hand resources. They can own a home and a car and still qualify for this program and not have to pay any participation to receive services. they do have to pass, the patient has to pass what we call NFLOC, because again, it's another acronym, which means Nursing Facility Level of Care. And that means it's not difficult to meet that. It usually means they need medication management, maybe some help with bathing, even if it's just supervision bathing or encouragement to bathe, maybe help walking, sometimes toileting, things like that. So passing the NIFLOC is the first part of qualifying for any of our programs. And that's what the screener will do. They will ask you the questions regarding the patient to see how they, if they pass that or not. So that's how that works. Once you get into the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program as a caregiver caring for someone with a chronic illness or Alzheimer's, then we, after we do the assessment, we find out what exactly you qualify for. We would offer up to 20 hours a month of in-home respite care services that we would pay for, that a contracted home care agency would provide a caregiver. So 20 hours a month doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually 2 days a week for 2.5 hours each week, depending on the month. Some months there's more than 4 weeks in a month, but the average is about 2 to 2.5 hours twice a week. So that really can be really nice respite for a caregiver who's at home and can't leave their loved one by themselves. We could also offer an emergency alert button if the patient is able to understand how to use it. We do have a few of our, in fact, some of our Hope Dementia clients have the emergency alert buttons with GPS. And it's interesting and fun because if you're not quite sure, if your loved one still wants to go for walks by themselves, what they can do is they can create a parameter. And if the loved one who's wearing this emergency alert button goes outside the parameter, they immediately call the caregiver and tell them where they are so they can go get them. So it's really wonderful. It gives the patient a sense of independence, yet gives the caregiver peace of mind. We can also start Meals on Wheels, if that's something that you think that would help you or that you would need. And then to support the caregiver, to support you, we have a lot of classes, educational classes that can help you learn how to care for yourself while you're caring for a loved one, how to properly do lifting, getting people in and out of bed, and then just taking care of yourself as well. In fact, right now we have a webinar coming up in September called Steady, and it's a webinar, I believe it's a 6-week course that is taught by one of our education professionals who is going, what you'll learn is how to keep your home and your loved ones safe from falls. And that can be quite useful, as you probably all know. We also have another class coming up called Powerful Tools, which is a class that helps caregivers, again, learn the tools to take care of yourself, as well as how to do things for your loved ones so that you don't hurt yourself. One of our main goals, or actually our main goal, is to keep the caregiver, you, healthy as long as possible. And I'm sure that's your goal as well. So that's the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program. Another program that is non-Medicaid, it is funded through grants, is called the Family Caregiver Support Program. And people who are over income for tailored supports for older adults would move into that program. And the way that we look at that, as far as how much you might have to pay toward your care, the care for the respite services, would be, we would take your income, both of you, the husband, wife. If it's a daughter and a mother, or a son and a father, however that is, we only look at that. We don't look at any combined income. It's just for a married couple that we look at combined income. But if it's a husband, wife, we put their income together, divide it by 2, and then we look at that as the income, and we have a sliding scale to decide how much percentage that you would pay. That's how that works. And this program has a few more things that probably are more beneficial. We have counseling available if the caregiver does not have counseling on their insurance. We can provide up to 6 weeks of counseling. We can, again, the classes that I mentioned, they're all available. We have, gosh, there's so much. We have a supplies budget. So if you are finding that using your funds, your monthly funds to go toward incontinence supplies, or you can't afford to buy, let's say, a shower chair, durable medical equipment like shower chairs and grab bars, things like that. We have $1,000 budget a year that we can purchase things like that for you. So that $1,000 goes fairly far, you know, and it's very helpful for a lot of our families. So other than that, it's the same assessment that the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program. We assess the caregiver. This program does not have one for individual people who don't have caregivers. We do have another program called Senior Personal Care that's similar. It doesn't have a lot of funding right now, but it's possible that if somebody didn't qualify for Tailored Supports for Older Adults individual, that we may be able to get them into that program. We also have a home program that we can help people who can't afford to get, like, say, grab bars or ramps, things like that. We can help with that, and so can the Tailored Supports for Older Adults programs. Let me see. We have a library. We call it the Dementia Library. In our office, that we have kits put together for persons with dementia. And so we have just like a box of games, puzzles, things that just sensory items that we have 3 different levels for early stage dementia, mid stage dementia, and late stage dementia. So we will loan those kits out to you, and it's something to do with your loved one, and you can borrow. I'll go through all 3 stages with these. That's something else that we can do as well. I'm going to look through my paperwork. I don't want to forget anything. Let me see. Another wonderful resource that we have in the Family Caregiver Support Program is a program called STAR-C. And STAR-C uses trained coaches to help caregivers when they're experiencing behavior or anger issues with their loved one. So many of you may realize that and have experienced that as people, as the dementia progresses, people become angry for no reason that you may be able to see, although they know what it is. They may not want to shower any longer or go outside the home. They may not want to take their medications. So the STAR-C program has a coach. I happen to be one of them. We have 2 at our agency. So if you choose that you would like to be in that program, right now it's only available for family caregiver support. Your case manager would refer you, and you would get 6 one-hour sessions for 6 weeks. So six 1-hour sessions in a 6-week period. And we give you tools and help you learn how to deal with these behaviors so that they're not as difficult. And the tools that we give you, you can use moving forward, we hope. And we've had a lot of success with it. I've had clients come back to me and just say how helpful it was, and how it changed just the way that their lives were, because there wasn't so much anger, there wasn't arguing, and as much arguing. We can't make it go away because we can't change the dementia and its effects, but we can change the way that the caregiver deals with the behaviors. So that's a very useful program and very popular. Another one is called the Pearls program, and the Pearls program is another one-on-one. Both of these are one-on-one. Normally, the coach would come to your home or meet you somewhere if you don't want to do it in your home with the patient, the care receiver there. We would come into your home and have one-on-one sessions with you. However, with COVID-19, we are doing these over the phone now. And at first I wasn't sure it would work, but it seems to be working just fine, and as successful as it was in the home. So we aren't dropping it. We're continuing everything and working through the COVID-19. So the Pearls program is for caregivers who just maybe are at the end of their ropes and have a fairly high depression score. And this program is one-on-one, like I said, and it helps identify and solve problems that are linked to making you feel the way you do, learn skills to manage unpleasant feelings, find ways to become more physically and socially active, and improve your quality of life. And again, these are no-cost programs to you. That's everything that I can think of. I can also talk about Medicaid if anybody is interested, and almost anything else that you may have questions for. So I'm ready for questions if anybody has any.
The first question is that are any of these programs bilingual?
That's a really good question. We do have bilingual clients, and we can use interpreters. So although Cowlitz and Wahkiakum, they do have Spanish-speaking case managers. Clark does not have any bilingual case managers, but we do use interpreters. And those interpreters can also come to the home with us. Unlike Medicaid, though, we can use family members. So Medicaid, they don't allow non-family members. It has to be an unknown third party interpreting. Right now, we are allowed to use family members to interpret. So that's something that we can do. Oh, you want I see someone wants the phone number again. Do you want me to give that now?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, so for Clark County, it's 360-694-8144. Cowlitz and Wahkiakum, 360-501-8399. And for Skamania, 509-427-3990.
So Maria, would you speak a little bit about Medicaid? It seems like people just always have questions.
You bet, you bet. So Medicaid, as well as the tailored supports for older adults, you have to complete an application online. And if you're interested in that, and that sometimes will just help you find out, because it will connect you to a financial worker as well as a an assessor, a social worker who is also an assessor. And I can get the link to do that online, or to copy a application if you'd like that. I can get that to Julie and Lynn as well. But the best way to find out a lot about Medicaid is two ways. You can call the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center, which are the numbers I just gave you, and they will mail you a packet on Medicaid, as well as the programs that I have spoken about today. And Medicaid, again, is, you have to be fairly low income, and many of us who are on, who are on Social Security do meet that low income level. However, in Medicaid's eyes, low income is basically a little over $1,000 a month. So, and if you have more than $2,000 in savings, you will have to spend that down in order to qualify for Medicaid. If you own a home, again, they'll put a lien on it. And what happens is they will, after you pass, they will not sell, or they will not expect reimbursement if your spouse or a child who has been caring for you for however many years, I believe it's 7, is still living and wants to live in the house. If you live alone and you pass, then Medicaid, the state, would take what they have paid towards your care off the sale, the top of the sale of the home, and then the rest would go to your loved ones. So a lot of people are concerned about that. Something else we also recommend is if you are married or have children and need to go on Medicaid services because our services just aren't enough to meet your needs, we recommend going to an elder law attorney and talk about a Medicaid trust fund. And that trust fund can protect the loved ones from the money being taken. I don't know a lot about that. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm certainly no expert. But again, the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center can send you information on elder law attorneys. So if you go through the application, you go through financial eligibility, and then you have an assessment. So with Medicaid, the assessment is done on the patient. And what it does is it measures, I guess is the best way to say it, their activities of daily living and their instrumental activities of daily living. They look at how many approximate hours it takes a person every day and the amount of help that they need. But it also measures if there is a person, a wife or a daughter or a loved one, a friend, that is taking care of them. They also will ask, how much time does that person spend caring for you? And that reduces the number of hours that that loved one may qualify for. So after they do their assessment on the patient, then they will tell you how many hours of care services that they qualify for per month. The difference between the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program and Medicaid is that they will allow a loved one or a friend to become a caregiver and get paid for that. And we call them individual providers. And so this person would be named by the patient, and they would have to agree, of course, and then go through 70 hours of training and become certified through the Department of Health as a home care aide. And that's how that works. Every year, and the same with the Tailored Supports for Older Adults, because it does have a financial component to it with a financial worker who is monitoring your income. Every year you would have to send in your financials to your financial worker in order to qualify for the following year, as well as have an assessment. every year. Is there any more questions about Medicaid that I can answer?
Can the program assessment packet be accessed online? That's not related to Medicaid, I don't believe.
Well, I can answer that either way. There is no assessment. You can't do your own assessment. The assessment has to be done by a case manager. You can apply. The application can be done online, if which I would highly recommend. It's a faster, easier process if you are capable of doing that online. I would highly recommend it. And I can, again, send Lynn and Julie the links to that website. It's Helping Elders, I think, helpingelders.org. But I can send a link that goes directly to the application.
Great. So what is the time frame for getting anything set up once that initial contact is made?
Great question. So right now I'm not talking Medicaid. I'm talking the community services programs, tailored supports for older adults, and the family caregiver support program. So family caregiver support program can start immediately. Once you have been assessed and you have agreed to your care plan. So first of all, you qualify, right? Your assessment will say whether you qualify and what you qualify for. Then you and your case manager will work out a care plan. And once you sign your consent forms and sign the care plan and get that back to the case manager, you are giving consent and agreeing to your care plan, and services can start immediately. So depending on how long it takes between the time, for instance, I got a referral today. I didn't get it until, I'm off at 4 o'clock. So I got it at about 3:30. So I went in and looked at it. I did all the initial work for it, and I will call the client tomorrow. So that's how quickly most of us will get started on it. We are required to get a hold of that client and begin the process within 4 days. We are not allowed to go past 4 days. Most of us will call that day or the next day, depending on the time and how busy we are. But it's pretty quick. The Tailored Supports for Older Adults program, because it has a financial worker like Medicaid, one of the problems with Medicaid is that it takes so long to get qualified financially. It is a big, long process. Now, the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program also has a financial worker, but to make everything run more smoothly and quicker, and to get people the services they need immediately, they are giving the people, the clients, whether it's a caregiver and a care receiver together for the Tailored Supports for Older Adults, or it's an individual. They are giving you 6 to 8 weeks of what they call presumptive eligibility. So we are going, when you're screened initially by the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center, they're going to assume that what you've told them based on your income and your resources, your cash resources, we're going to assume that what you've said is true. And so we are going to presume that you're eligible for our program. So what we will do is we will assume that you're eligible, and we will start the program as soon as we have all of the paperwork done, which again is fairly quick. In the meantime, during that 6 to 8 week period, you are working with your financial worker and getting them the information they need to become financially eligible, not away from presumptive, but into financial eligibility. And that's how our programs will start immediately. So I'm going to say it probably isn't going to be any more than 1 to 2 weeks before you can get services started. Now, As far as caregiving services, it would depend on the home care agencies. Most of them are getting caregivers into the home within 2 weeks. And I'd say that's pretty good considering with COVID going on right now, because there's a lot of protocols that they have to go through. So, so 2 weeks might sound like a lot to you, but the experience I have with Medicaid and with other things, it's a pretty good timeline. It's a darn good timeline. So I hope that answers that question as best as I can, because I can't give you an exact time of when your services will start.
So often when we're dealing with loved ones with dementia, there are anger issues involved.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is calling the agency related to anger issues, should they ask about the Star C program specifically, or Pearls if they're really needing help? Or would the person that they talk to just walk them through what's available?
The person they talk to will be very knowledgeable about the Star C and Pearls program. Unfortunately, those programs are not standalone programs. They are with the Family Caregiver Support Program. So the person who is wanting those programs would have to go through the screening and become eligible, and then be sent to a case manager who would have to schedule and perform an assessment on the caregiver. So that's how that works. Any caregiver who qualifies for the Family Caregiver Support Program would qualify for the Star C or Pearls program. And even if you don't want respite care or any other services, you would be able to probably qualify for that.
Can you explain what a COPES caregiver is?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a family member that would be interested in assuming that role, what it would take to be able to do that?
Sure. So again, that's under Medicaid. COPES is under Medicaid. That is part of their program. So they have CFC, which is Community First Choice plus COPES, and that is the full Medicaid program. In order to qualify to become an individual provider for a person who is on Medicaid, number one, they already need to be on Medicaid services. If they're applying for Medicaid services and they're going through the assessment, they can tell the assessor, the social worker, I really want so-and-so to be my caregiver. And then, which is good information, the social worker would need to know that. And if they qualify for Medicaid and pass through the assessment and are part of the program, then that person would first of all come into my agency, which is the Area Agency on Aging and Disabilities, or the Clark, which is, the Cowlitz County Area Agency on Aging and Disabilities. And there they would go through a screening. They would have a Washington State background check done. And then they would make an appointment to have FBI fingerprinting done, because it's just how you qualify. You need to have an FBI fingerprinting done to make sure that you have no criminal record. Once you have passed both the state and the FBI background checks, then you would register for classes, which the state pays for. And you can, I'm trying to remember, it's been a few years since I've been a Medicaid case manager. Let me think for just a second. I believe once you pass the background checks, you can start working for the person that you're caring for as long as you are registered and begin taking the classes. I believe they give you a certain amount of time to complete them. And if you don't, then you would be suspended until you did complete them. The classes, like I said, are paid for by the state, and it's 70 total hours, which I believe is a week. Is it a week? I think it's a week or two of classes that you would take. And then you would have continuing education of 12 hours a year after that you would have to keep up. Your pay, I believe, starts, you would become a part of a union, and union pay, I'm not exactly sure where that starts. I believe they're around, I don't even want to say, I'm not even sure what their starting wage is, but I know that I believe it's every 2,000 hours that you log in, you get a raise, like a 50-cent an hour raise or something like that. So that's how that would work. Does that answer all those questions about becoming a provider?
Yes, I think it really does.
Okay, good.
So you contract with a number of different caregiving agencies in town. Is that how that works?
Yes, some of them are national agencies and some of them are local agencies. We also contract with CDM's Adult Day Center, which is an amazing resource, especially for persons with dementia or chronic illness. Unfortunately, COVID has shut down the Adult Day Center, but we're hoping at some point it will be able to come back online because it's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Could you describe their services a little bit, even though they're not functioning?
Yeah. What I like about the Adult Day Center, well, I like a lot of things about it, but remember I said that our programs only give 20 hours a month of care, of respite care, someone coming into your home and providing respite. The wonderful thing about the Adult Day Center is it's a big new building that CDM built a couple years ago on Andreessen and Fourth Plain. And they have CNAs, nurses, physical therapists, and caregivers working there. They do adult day care, so people who work can take their loved one there for the length of time that they work. But for our program needs, we provide 13 sessions a month, which is 3 times a week for 4 hours. So you really get a lot more than you would for 20 hours a month. But the only difference is that it's not in your home. So you could choose to have your loved one go in the morning for 4 hours and have lunch, or come at lunchtime, have lunch, and stay until 3 in the afternoon. And they provide games and activities, and they'll have like animals come in, children come in and do singing and things like that, crafts, and if your loved one needs restorative therapy. So we all know if any of us are hurt, therapy is only, maybe if you're lucky, your insurance will pay for 12 sessions and then you're done. They do restorative therapy there. They'll have a physical therapist evaluate, and then their CNAs will perform those exercises when your loved one is there to keep them limber and moving. And I just want to say that I had a client when I was a Medicaid case manager, and this client was young and had a stroke, and every year he would have his 12 sessions of physical therapy and would be able to walk and would be doing really well, would just stop being able to use his cane, and then the sessions would start and he would revert right back because he just wasn't doing his exercises and wasn't getting what he needed as far as therapy. So I convinced him, he didn't want to go, but I convinced him to go to the adult day center, and they did restorative therapy 3 days a week, and he stopped using a cane. And so 20, 12 months a year. So he was still getting his 12, but he was able to keep on getting what he needed in order to stay active and mobile. And it was a wonderful thing to see.
Thank you. Is counseling included in all of the programs?
Counseling is only included in the Family Caregiver Support Program right now. We just don't, Medicaid right now, even though they're non-Medicaid programs, they are state funded through Medicaid funds. Right now, Tailored Supports for Older Adults is not paying for these extra programs, such as Star C and Pearls and counseling.
We have people say to us when we recommend, which we recommend on a very regular basis in our support groups, well, I called them and they never called me back. So, so what do you recommend when someone says that?
That is surprising to me. I'm going to be honest with you. Gosh, I happen to know the girls that work in the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center. There's 4 of them. I don't know. I can't say why they wouldn't call back. All I can say is that you need to call, leave a very clear message with your name and your phone number. And if you don't hear back from them within 48 hours, call and do it again. Gosh,
well, that is precisely what I always respond with. Is that if you don't hear back, try again.
Yeah.
And you know, we know that your call center has increased exponentially in the number of people that are answering calls. Yeah. And that's basically what we tell people, but it's good to know that that's the correct answer.
Yes, thank you. And understand too, right now, they're all working from home. 2 of the girls are in the office much of the time, but because of what is happening in the world right now, many of them are, they're working from home, sure, which could make things sometimes a little shakier. So I apologize to anybody who is not getting a phone call back, but I would stress, please try again.
Okay, well that's our stock answer.
Good, thank you.
So if someone needs a GPS or an emergency alert system, does the Family Caregiver Support Program help with that?
They do, both programs do.
Excellent.
Is
it a specific type of alert?
Well, it depends on the company. So we have, I believe, 4 or 5 different companies that we contract with. Okay. 2 of them are local, 2 or 3 of them are national. They all have different items and different things that they do. I do know one of our local vendors is surprised me by telling one of your people, one of your Hope Dementia support group people. I knew that they had GPS, but I had no idea that they did that that area thing. I had no idea. My client called, the caregiver called and told me that they did that. And so this was a local, I can't say their name, but it was a local business. And I don't know that any of the others are doing that. They're the only one I know of right now. But what we would do is we would see what is it that they need. a fall detector? Do they need a fall detector, a medication reminder, just an emergency button? Do they need GPS? And why? We need to know why. Why do they need that? And just telling us why qualifies why we would order that type of thing for that person. The Family Caregiver Support Program, the difference is with that one, remember I told you there was $1,000 a year budget for supplies and durable medical equipment.
Right.
The emergency alert buttons, that yearly amount would come out of that budget. And it's right around, I believe it's average, depending on the company and what you get, it's right around $450 or right around there. So that's about half the budget right there. But it's often worth it. And then the Tailored Supports for Older Adults program, I don't believe I mentioned it, but the budget, you have a monthly budget with that. It's about right now, it changes all the time depending on, you know, what things are costing, especially the home care agencies. But it's about $625 a month right now. And so if you choose to use an emergency alert button and get in-home respite care, you may only get 19 hours a month of in-home care so that we can pay for your emergency alert button. But if you really look at it closely, it's only 15 minutes a week that you're losing out on if you do both.
So yes, I just recently have an individual whose wife is an escape artist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And still bright enough to know, you know, when he's trying to manipulate her into not escaping.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to find the appropriate device for her has been a real challenge.
Yeah. We can help with that. That would be part of either program. Durable medical equipment is anything we can do to help. There are items you can place on doors where an alarm goes off. And it not even necessarily is an alarm, but it's just something that might alert you on your phone. Or you can put something on there that is a, what am I thinking of? I've seen the ones where you have a keypad,
Right.
and if you can even post that number, but post it backwards so that maybe that your patient doesn't realize how to use it and escape. I have one client that is using a bed monitor, and they put this underneath his mattress. It's like a little spring.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets out of bed, she has a little alarm that goes off next to her so that she knows he's out of bed. She says she's so exhausted when she goes to sleep at night, she doesn't hear him when he gets up. And the straw that broke the camel's back was one morning she woke up and he was fully dressed and lying in bed. And that was not the way she left him when she went to bed that night. So, you know, there are things that you can do. And even if you don't want any other program, always call the Aging and Disabilities Resource Center. They will be able to connect you with a vendor that can help you with those things.
Okay. So if needs change, such as the progression of dementia, do the benefits or help that can be received change with?
We are a limited program. Our program is meant to offset the needs of the caregiver, to help them with the stress that they're under, and to give them respite and services they need to help their stress. If things get to the point where they need a lot more help than what we can offer them, we have to refer them to Medicaid. It's just the programs are limited, and which is one of the reasons why our clients can have a higher income than Medicaid clients can. So, and why we don't look at the resources as something that we should take, because we realize at some point they may need to utilize that income to help supplement the care that the loved one needs. One thing I didn't mention that is also a possibility with both of our programs, tailored supports and family caregiver support, is that if you can afford to and choose to, if you need more than 20 hours a month, you can speak to the agency that you are using, and you can pay our contracted hourly rate to them. So if you want an additional 10 hours a month, you can pay that out of pocket, and you would pay our contracted rate.
And my question disappeared on me. If you're enrolled in the family caregiver support program, does the case manager stay in contact with families on a scheduled basis?
That's a really good question. Yes. We check in at least twice a year. So there's a 6-month screening. We send to the caregiver, and they complete that and mail it back to us, and then we call and discuss it. And the screening, we want to know if the services that we're giving them are helping. We're going to be measuring their depression level on that, and their discrepancy, how they're feeling about themselves as a caregiver, and the burden. Is it helping the burden that they've been under? And if it isn't, then we need to look at their care plan and see if there's more that we can do for them. And then,
the agent,
oh, go
sorry.
ahead. I was just going to say, and then of course, an annual assessment.
Okay. Can the Agency on Aging and Disabilities provide local resource lists for services such as meal delivery, food and prescription delivery and stuff like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They can, anything that is a resource, and anything, honestly, they can help you with that.
And is it okay for anybody, whether you're enrolled in specific programs or not, to access those resource lists?
Oh, absolutely. The Aging and Disabilities Resource Center is open to anybody.
Well, we get wonderful feedback from people that access resources. They love you.
Good, good. We love them.
We used to say that it was the best kept secret, but I think that we have gone past that now.
Yeah, and it's really, when I first started doing outreach, when I left Medicaid and came to community services, when I first started doing outreach, people had never heard of us. And it's really, really sad, because there's so many people all these years we could have been helping. But it's good now, because we have tailored supports for older adults, which, like I said, is a new program, and only just a baby, it's an infant, only 3 years old. So these programs are going to get better as time goes on, and hopefully get more funding as time goes on, because it has already proven that it's saving the Medicaid program billions of dollars, not just millions of dollars, but billions of dollars.
Well, it would, I would love for you to brag on the agency here in Vancouver a little bit, because I think that it has, you just do such a fantastic job.
Yeah, it's hard not to brag about it. Our agency right now has, gosh, 140 employees, I believe. We have a fairly new department called Care Coordination. And Care Coordination is an amazing program that the Home Health Network has set up, I believe, through the insurance companies. So right now they are mostly helping Medicaid clients. So it's really all that I think that they're able to right now. But what they do is they're assigned to a client, a patient who is chronically in and out of the hospital or in and out of their medical clinic, and is not remembering to take their medications, is not they're getting the resources. Someone's telling them who to call for help, but they're not doing it. They're just not able to do it, or just can't bring themselves to do it. Some of them have mental health issues. Some of them just have chronic illness, and it's just too difficult. And they're assigned a care coordinator who meets with them at least once a week to help them do these things, help them organize their medications and understand their medications, to make sure that they're picked up promptly. And what we're finding is that they are keeping people out of the hospital, and therefore saving the state a lot of money in ED visits, emergency department visits. So that is a highly successful program, and it's growing by leaps and bounds because it's so successful. Insurance companies, of course, you can only imagine anything to save money. They are all over. And so they are setting up home healths everywhere with care coordinators, individual people who go out and help people stay out of the hospital and get more healthy. Let me see. Then there's the Medicaid side of it, and we probably have 70 Medicaid case managers. And community services that started out with one case manager now has 7. So, and that's grown just in the last 2 years. I was I believe, 3rd to come on board, and now we have 7.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. We have our own nurse, and Medicaid has their own nurses too that go out and visit clients. So,
can you speak to occupational therapy related?
Unfortunately, that is not a part of my expertise, unfortunately. I do know that we can often refer for an occupational therapist to come out and do a screening of someone's home to check for fall risks, areas of fall risk, but that's not anything that, I don't believe we contract with any occupational therapists.
Okay. I know that talking about our escape artists, that OT can sometimes be helpful in making recommendations with that.
Absolutely. And OT, I mean, anything like that, that's a primary doctor's job, and that to refer to OT and PT.
Okay.
So go to your primary doctor or gerontologist or rheumatologist. They should be able to help with that.
Awesome. So I believe, unless anyone has any other questions, I think by George, I think we got it.
Well, that's good. That's wonderful.
Oh, that was very helpful, Maria. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Like I said, Hope Dementia is one of my favorite outreach communities. I love going out and helping with the education, and any information I can get out there makes me happy.
Well, and just to let our audience know that Christina Marneris is very actively involved with the Dementia Action Collaborative at the state level, which is really helpful to all of us. And you all are incredibly generous in helping us with our program. So many thanks for that.
Well, thank you for all you do and all the support you give our clients and those that aren't our clients, just everyone. We appreciate you as well.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
Anytime.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.